Hello, this is Back to Beverly, the show that catches up with Beverly Hills High School alumni to see what they've been doing since graduation. I'm your host, Leila Vahabzadeh, and my guest today here is Josh Gross. Josh Gross is the CEO and publisher of the Beverly Hills Weekly. So Josh, when did you graduate Beverly Hills High School?
Thanks, Leila. You know, it's a pleasure to be on this show. I graduated Beverly High in 1991. And I was, of course, part of KBEV, as you know. So it's nice to be back here and doing this interview.
What activities were you involved in here?
I was involved in a lot of things at Beverly. I was involved in performing arts. I was involved in KBEV, as I mentioned. And it was just overall a really excellent experience to go to Beverly.
What were your favorite classes and why?
Well, so many, you know. A few of my teachers are still around. Quite a few of them retired last year. There was a big crop of retirements last year that included a lot of my former teachers. But I enjoyed AP European History with Mr. Horowitz. It was a great class. He just retired. All the performing arts classes with Joel Pressman, who you've heard of, who's quite a legend on campus, passed away about a year or two ago. And just so many other great classes that I had a chance to be a part of here, of course, including journalism and KBEV.
How was the workload for those classes?
Well, you know, the workload was significant, but, you know, I think nowadays there's a lot more homework than there was when I was growing up. In fact, in my opinion, there's too much homework, but that's another story. I think the students come out of here very well prepared academically, and I think for the most part the academic courses are very rigorous here at Beverly High.
Can you tell me some more fond memories that you may still have of this school?
Well, you know, so many, because going to Beverly, of course, later led to my career, which we'll get to in a second, at Beverly Hills Weekly. But had I not grown up here, I went to Beverly Vista, K-8, and I went to Beverly for 9-12. And had I not had that upbringing in Beverly Hills, I never would have pursued the career that I ended up pursuing.
Have you kept in touch with other alumni here?
Yes, quite a few. And actually, I'm president of the Alumni Association here at Beverly High. So I'm in touch with quite a few alumni, both from my own class and from other classes in that role, and also just socially and through friends and so forth.
When you were here at school, what did you see yourself doing career-wise?
Boy, you know, it's hard to say. I think I always foresaw myself maybe going into a media venture of some sort. I didn't necessarily think it would be print journalism, which is what it ended up being, and now a broadcasting endeavor that I'm pursuing, a show I host on the Beverly Hills channel called Beverly Hills View. So I think I probably would have guessed something in the media area, and that's, of course, what ended up happening.
What did you do as soon as you graduated from Beverly?
Well, I graduated in Beverly in 1991, and then I went to UC Berkeley for 2 years. And then I took a year off, and I worked in politics and doing campaigns. And that was really sort of an eye-opening experience, taught me a lot about local politics. I then went to UCLA, finished up my undergraduate degree, where I got a BA degree in history. And then I took another year off. I worked in campaigns again throughout the state of California. Then I went to law school at Loyola Law School, and I graduated law school in 1999. And then I started Beverly Hills Weekly in October of 1999. So it's been a pretty continuous stretch of activities that are all very closely related to each other. Politics and journalism, of course, are very closely related because a lot of the same people who pursue politics also pursue journalism and vice versa. So,
can you tell me more a little about your current work?
Well, I'm the publisher of Beverly Hills Weekly, which is, of course, a local newspaper that you're familiar with here in Beverly Hills. Maybe you want to hold up the copy you have for the viewers. We just celebrated our 800th issue, which we're quite proud of, and that's the one actually you're holding there. Yeah, hold it up for a second. So that's our 800th issue, almost 16 years in print. And given the challenges in print journalism nowadays, we're really quite proud that we've had such a long run. But basically, I'm the publisher, and that means I coordinate both the editorial department and the advertising department. And it's a full-time job to get the paper out every Thursday.
How does it feel to have this 800th anniversary of the weekly?
800th issue, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, almost 16th anniversary. It's pretty amazing. You know, it's been a lot of work, but we've had a lot of support from the community who really just loves the newspaper and loves the coverage of the city and the schools and everything you guys are up to here and the teachers and so forth. So that's been very fulfilling. It's been a great career. You know, print journalism is, in many places, is on the downswing and not doing as well as it used to. But here in Beverly Hills, we're very fortunate because people love print media and love having the newspaper, and we're very fortunate for that.
How and why did you enter this field?
Well, as I mentioned, I just graduated law school, and at the time there was only one other newspaper in Beverly Hills. And when I was growing up, there was two newspapers. There was the Beverly Hills Courier and the Beverly Hills Post. And the Beverly Hills Post went out of business in the early 1990s. So for 5 or 6 years there was no other newspaper. And a number of us wanted another voice, wanted another way to communicate with the community and cover issues that were important. And that's how we got the idea to start Beverly Hills Weekly.
How and why did you enter this field?
Well, I'd worked in campaigns, but I did have some background in journalism, largely here at Beverly. And it just sort of happened, and one thing led to another, and we started the paper, and almost 16 years later, here we are, still doing it.
What does a typical workday look like for you?
Well, I work, 6 days a week, but basically, average day, the paper comes out on Thursday, and our cycle goes from Thursday to Wednesday. So in other words, we start Thursday on the next week's paper, right? And it goes to press Wednesday night. So from Thursday to Wednesday, we're working on the next week's paper. So for example, today, while we're doing our taping here at the studio, it's a Tuesday. So tomorrow night, issue 801 in this case will go to press. And so today when I get back to the office after doing this interview, I'll work on editing stories, working with the advertising department, doing all the little details that go into putting out a newspaper every week.
What parts of your job do you find most challenging?
Well, the finances of print journalism. Nowadays, as I mentioned, print journalism doesn't have the revenue that it once did, but it's equally as important as it ever has been. I mean, a blog is not going to give you the same kind of coverage of your community that a local newspaper does. So for that reason, we're just going to keep going and keep finding a way to make it work. But the financial challenges are definitely the toughest part about being in the print media business.
What parts of your job do you enjoy the most?
Well, I like interacting with the community, like what we're doing right now here at KBEV. I like speaking engagements and doing things where I get to go out and really talk to people in town. I like supporting candidates editorially that I support and that I believe in through our editorials. I like covering issues in the community that are of importance, sometimes very controversial issues. We love covering controversial issues because that's why people read the paper, right? So that, to me, is why I do journalism. It's still a very exciting job, even 16 years later. And for that, I consider myself very fortunate. But let me say again, it was the training here in this very studio that led to my career and led to what I'm doing now.
What are the education requirements needed for your type of career?
Well, publishers come in all stripes. Some actually have a journalism degree. I don't have a journalism degree. As I mentioned, I have a law degree. But certainly some level of writing experience and some level of general education obviously is helpful because it helps enhance your stories and your coverage of different events. As I said, in my opinion, you don't have to have a journalism degree, but a number of publishers do. But different publishers come in different stripes. Some have a different background altogether, maybe in sales or maybe in another career, and then they go into the newspaper business. In my case, as I said, I had come out of law school and come out of campaigns, so that was my particular background.
What achievements are you personally most proud of?
Oh, so many. Well, let's start with, as you know, I'm a member of the KBEV Hall of Fame. My photo's in the KBEV studio here. That's very flattering. That's something I'm very proud of. I'm president of the Alumni Association. I mentioned that. I was elected in 2006. I've been the president of that for almost 9 years now, or going on 9, almost 10. I am very proud of all the recognition our newspaper has gotten over the years. Obviously, a lot of supportive comments from readers, from residents, from people. They don't always agree with what you write, but they respect what you're doing and they really appreciate that you're giving them coverage of the community. So those are just a few things that I'm very proud of.
How would you describe corporate culture in your field?
Well, there's not too much corporate culture in my field. That's probably a good thing. In other words, we're a small corporation. I'm my own boss, and that's a big thing. I don't answer to a board of directors or anything like that. I'm talking about the newspaper here. But if you work for the LA Times, and that's got a very deep corporate culture because, again, it's a corporation that runs the LA Times or other big newspapers, the Washington Post, the New York Times, et cetera. They're all run by corporations. And so that's a very different situation than a closely held small newspaper that covers a local community. And I very much enjoy being my own boss.
What advice can you give to our students who may want to work in your field?
By that, do you mean print journalism?
Yes.
Well, there's print and there's broadcast. Let me talk about print first. Print, again, get a lot of writing experience. Get an internship working for some kind of a newspaper. Maybe when you're in college, maybe you're in high school, whatever, just start writing. Writing experience, there's only one way to do it, and that's to just try and practice and get better and better at it. In terms of broadcasting, as you know, is also a very competitive industry. For broadcasting, you generally have to have an internship. Sometimes you have to move to a small city where you can get a start, where you get your foot in the door at maybe a small TV station, start doing reporting, start doing editing, then move up, hopefully, to a larger market like Los Angeles. If I wasn't doing what I'm doing now in print journalism, I probably would be working in broadcast journalism. So again, the two have very close interplay with each other. A lot of the same people who do print journalism also do broadcast or vice versa. So a lot of the advice is the same for both industries.
What skills did you learn at high school that became useful to you?
So many. Well, as I said, starting in this studio, doing exactly what you're doing, interviewing people, writing questions, writing stories. And then, of course, the critical thinking skills that you get from your academic classes. Like, for example, I mentioned AP European History, which I took in 10th grade. That was a very pivotal class for me. All of the history, all of the English, all of that was tremendously helpful to the writing component of being in journalism.
Can I ask you some fun random questions?
Sure.
What is the best advice that your parents ever gave you?
What is the best advice that my parents ever gave me? Well, again, so much advice. I don't know how to pick just one. I think pick something you're passionate about. And of course, there's an old expression, do what you love to do and the money will follow. And I do tend to agree with that. I think if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
If you could go any place in the world, where would it be and why?
Geez, it's hard for me to get away because, we have a weekly deadline, but it might be fun to take another trip to Europe. I was there about 10 years ago. It'd be fun to go back.
What is your dream job?
My dream job is pretty much what I'm doing now, but it'd be nice if we didn't have to worry about money so much. Again, that's print journalism these days, but there's not much differently that I would do that I'm not already doing.
What do you do on weekends?
Well, I work on Saturdays, so it's only a half weekend for me, but I do what anybody else does, go to dinner, hang out with friends, etc.
Is this a lot of work for you?
It is, but it's fun. And as I said earlier, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
How would your friends describe you?
I think they would describe me as very driven and very passionate about what I do. I'm very loyal to this place, to Beverly High. I'm very proud of my education here, and I want to make sure other students have the same opportunities that I had.
What advice can you give to me about life?
Well, a lot of things are just going to happen as you grow older. You mentioned you're a freshman, right?
Yes.
So you've got 4 years ahead of you here at this school, or 3.5 more years, whatever it is. And I think you're going to make a lot of friends. You're going to take a lot of interesting classes. But what I would encourage anyone your age or any Beverly students to really try to get involved with the school. Whatever your passion is, it could be athletics, it could be performing arts, it could be journalism, it could be robotics, whatever it is, to pursue it, to take extracurricular classes. Don't just take academic classes, get involved in other activities because I think it will really benefit you long term.
What is your favorite food and why?
What is my favorite food and why? Oh, so many, too hard to answer. Pass.
What do you love about your life?
I love about my life that I'm excited about my job and I get to meet interesting people and I get to make a difference in my community.
What do you love about yourself?
What do I love about myself? These are tough questions, Leila. Well, I think I've set out some goals and I've accomplished most of them, and that's very fulfilling. And not a lot of people can say that, so that's something I'm very proud of.
If you could offer one piece of advice to our students at this school right now, what would it be?
Get involved. As I said earlier, get involved in a club, in an extracurricular, in an athletic team, something. Get involved.
Thank you, Mr. Gross. We appreciate you taking the time to come out and share your life with us.
Thank you, Leila.
And thank you for watching. I'm your host, Leila Vahabzadeh, and this is Back to Beverly.